saying that he's the villain and they don't like him and they liked him for Teal, but they don't like him here and blah 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 yada yada yada. Listen, man, George Kambosos is doing what he needs to do to win. What I like about him is his story. What I like about him is the commonalities he has in terms of applying himself to boxing. Him and Devin Haney, they have a lot in common. Him and Devin Haney have the same kind of mentality and attitude. Once again, I'm not, like I said before, I don't hate George Kambosos at all. This is the guy that gave Devin Haney his shot at becoming undisputed. So, how could I ever hate this dude? Actions speak louder than words. Yeah, George Kambosos, he's talking and saying some dumb shit. But in a way, what he's saying, the data in there is true. Devin Haney did give him information on Teofimo Lopez. It's not snitching, but he did give him information on Teofimo Lopez. You know what I mean? So Kambosos is a warrior. He said he loves to fight. Like he said, this guy, he did the road work. He went to different people's countries. He went to different people's home court. You know what I'm saying? He went into different people's backyard and he fought them and he got the victory. So you have to give this guy his props. Okay? Fought Mickey Bay in the United States. He fought Lee Selby in England. Okay? Fought Teofimo Lopez in Las Vegas and he got the W. So this dude has intestinal fortitude. He fought without his father. He fought with his father. He fought, away from his family. I mean, this dude did what he had to do to win. And that's the guy that I admire. Truthfully speaking, Kambosos' work ethic is what allowed him to be in the position to beat Teofimo Lopez. Okay? Not only that, but Kambosos, one thing about him, and he's going to be better. He's going to be better for this fight. No doubt about it. Kambosos' work ethic, Kambosos' dedication to the sport, the fact that Kambosos loves to fight, all of these things play a big role in his success. And so I love Kambosos, man. There's nothing about him I don't admire. There's nothing about him not to admire. There's nothing about him I don't enjoy. All right? Blood, sweat, and tears. That's Kambosos' life. And so, I can't hate this dude. Yeah, he's saying some crazy shit like, Devin Haney's ratting on his countryman, which don't make no sense to me. But the content in it is true. Devin Haney did give intel on Teofimo Lopez to George Kambosos, and he did do it because he wanted George to win. And not only did he want George to win, but he was happy when George won, okay? Because he felt like the opportunity for him to fight George would actually happen. Whereas the opportunity to fight Teal didn't seem interested at all in facing Devin. So when George won, George kept his word, and here's Devin Haney's fighting George. Okay? Devin Haney's fighting George. So that's another thing that, yeah, George tried to look for other options first before Devin Haney, and finally came back to Devin Haney. But ultimately, in the end, this is the point. He's fighting Devin Haney. So we could just forget about all the other stuff. And again, true champion. He's going up against George is going up against all odds against him again. You look at the betting odds; they're against him. The odds are closer than with the Teofimo Lopez fight. He was like 1-15, I think. Teofimo Lopez was like the odds were like 15-1. Teofimo Lopez to win. You know what I'm saying? It was big odds. It's smaller now. I think it's like 4-1, something like that. And that's because Kambosos is the champ. You know what I'm saying? Now, when I go online, I see more people thinking that Kambosos will beat Devin Haney. Kambosos feels that once Devin Haney gets into some adversity, he will not come out on top. He thinks, what happened with Jorge Linares, that that three punch combination that Jorge Linares landed on Devin Haney, particularly the right hand left hook combination. He feels that Devin Haney clinched in the later rounds, which is not necessarily true. He actually was dogging Jorge Linares still on the inside. He was getting tagged up a bit, but again, he was getting tagged up, but he wasn't going down. You know what I'm saying? So there was an interesting thing how Devin Haney handled that adversity, and I think that's a good experience for Devin Haney because he knows what to do next time. But I like that these are two very admirable guys, you know, um, going in to fight each other. And I just thought the character of Kambosos, more or less, is a great character. There's a lot of attributes for any aspiring person in any aspiring field to take from Kambosos. I mean, listen, you can't always listen to what boxers say, but you need to listen to their hearts and what's deep inside of them. And those two guys deep inside of them, they're driven. They're driven. Ain't nobody in this fight is thinking of losing. Nobody in this fight is thinking of anything else but getting those belts. All of them. And you could feel the hunger from both of them. Even though Devin Haney is much more calmer, you could tell how very confident he is in getting that, making that happen. And it's just very interesting to see two fighters who they're undefeated. Both the guys are. Let me tell you how huge this fight is. Okay. And nobody's really talking about this fight like that. But you're talking about two undefeated fighters, first of all. Okay? Two prime fighters. Two champions. One has 3 of the 4 belts, and the other one has 1. Okay? And then think about this. History. First undisputed 4-belt champion in the lightweight division. There's nothing like that. Nobody else comes close. When we say undisputed, this person will be undisputed. This person. Okay? There'll be no question. Nobody will argue, are you undisputed? No. You're going to be undisputed at the end of that. It's the biggest fight that could happen in the lightweight division in terms of prestige and in terms of stature. That's the fight. That's what's at stake. You know? So it's a huge fight in terms of, for purists particularly, it's a huge fight. It's not like Kambosos is not skilled. He's a skilled fighter. Very skilled. Not very, okay, very skilled, yes. I'm going to say very skilled. Not really, but I'm going to say that. And Devin Haney, of course, is a skilled fighter as well. And so it's not just going to be a bang, rock him, sock him, try to beat you down. Kambosos is ferocious. Ferocious Kambosos. You know what I'm saying? Devin Haney is the dream. So we'll see, what pans out with that fight. I already told you what, from way, way, way out, I told you who was going to win the fight. So I'm not really concerned about that. I'm more concerned about talking about the character and the constitution of these guys. The life, the day in, day out grind that these guys put themselves through. Because a lot of times that is lost in translation. Kambosos, like Pacquiao, is an overachiever. He's an overachiever. A guy of that height, built, and even the kind of skill level he has, shouldn't be fighting for undisputed championship, and should not be the 3-belt unified champion. Teofimo Lopez, by all reasons and thoughts in our minds, should have beaten him. Because Teofimo Lopez has more tools than Kambosos. And, if Teofimo Lopez had done what he was supposed to do, he'd have gotten Kambosos out of there. He'd have knocked him out. Right? He didn't have that tenacity like Kambosos. Kambosos had the tenacity to believe that he could beat Teofimo Lopez because he had put in ridiculous amounts of work. Because I know Kambosos outworked Teofimo Lopez, not just in the ring, But in preparation to face Teofimo Lopez, you could see it all in translation. Okay, and Teofimo Lopez was on a high, and he was talking crazy, and his life was kind of all over the place. So, Kambosos, I'm going to tell you this for a fact. That man is as zoned in, as tuned up as he could possibly be. Kambosos is literally working at his very, very best all the time. Okay? All the time. Because he can't afford to even be one fraction of a second off. He has to work at his best. I love that. This dude is a true Spartan. You know what I mean? And you have to respect that. You have to respect it. Devin Haney don't have to respect it. Because, he's going to acknowledge, how far Kambosos has come. He don't have to respect it. But we, as fans, should see that in this guy. And I don't like that people are saying, he's a villain, so that's why I'm going to vote against him. No, man. That's fickle. You can't carry your emotions into a betting casino. You can't carry your emotions in there. That's stupid. You have to bet based on what those guys do in the ring. That's all you're betting on. Don't study about their emotions. Don't study about what they say. Boxing's a doing sport. It's what you do. It's what you do that determines what you will do in an actual fight. It's a doing sport. Okay? Kambosos is just trying to create a narrative with Devin Haney, and he's supposed to. It's right now. Devin Haney is his adversary. Right now, Devin Haney is his opponent. So you're gonna expect fighting language. They're not gonna just applaud each other and pat each other on the back. Man, good. Let's make this money. Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? Of course, he's gonna try to villainize Devin Haney. I mean, he's gonna do whatever he can do to get an edge mentally, right? So I'm not mad at Kambosos for that. I don't think he's saying anything that makes sense in terms of calling Devin Haney a rat when Devin Haney's telling you information about his competitor. He wants to talk about Countryman. What Countryman got to do with this? Devin Haney was going to fight Teofimo Lopez anyway. He was going to fight his Countryman. So what does that mean? No. And I understand what he means by rat. He means like Devin was giving information about Teo behind Teo's back. He never said it to Teo's face. This is what he means by rat. He's trying to say, morally speaking, Devin Haney shouldn't do that. And again, it's warfare. So obviously Devin Haney is going to give intel. Kambosos contacted him and said, you know what, I'm going to give you the fight. So Devin Haney's like, you give me the fight? Teo's playing around. All right, cool. I'm going to give you some intel on Teo. So this dude ain't focused at all. He's not focused. And he did. It's war. Right? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Right? So that's how that went down. Now, to say that he's a rat because of that, how is he a rat? How are you rat? He has no allegiance to Teofimo Lopez, right? So, he can say whatever he want to say. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, Kambosos is doing what he's supposed to do, which is he's supposed to try to get a mental advantage over Devin Haney. He's supposed to try to make Devin Haney uncomfortable in some sort of way so that Devin Haney would doubt himself. He's supposed to do that. The thing is, of course, it's not going to succeed. It's not going to work in this case. Whereas with Teofimo Lopez, it worked because Teofimo Lopez didn't put in the work. When you put in the work, and you've seen time and time again that hard work and dedication, and your homework and your research and what you put in the work to do what you're supposed to do, obviously, you're not going to be fazed by what anybody else says because you dial in. You know what you were supposed to do. You know what you're supposed to do in that fight, and you just go out there and execute it. And Kambosos, same thing. He's supposed to know. So I don't expect Devin Haney to try to get in his head, because what is he going to do? What's he going to do? I mean, what's he going to do? Kambosos is going to fight regardless. He's going to fight whether he feels that Devin Haney will beat him or not, whether he believes that Devin Haney is a big challenge or not, whether he believes he'll beat Devin Haney and he has the game plan to beat Devin Haney. He's going to fight regardless. They're going to go and fight, right? So there's nothing you could tell me. There's nothing you could tell me that's going to convince me of anything. You have to show me in that ring that you are what you say you are. And that's the mentality both of them have. So, I mean, this talking, it's like Floyd trying to rile up Miguel Cotto. You're not gonna rile up Miguel Cotto. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Miguel Cotto did kind of get aggressive at a certain point in the fight with Floyd, pre-fight conference, but I mean, you know, it's hard to get under a fighter's skin who's prepared. It's hard. It's very, very hard. You know, to try and throw them off in some way, shape, or form. With Raleigh didn't have that experience. So when Tank pushed him off the stage, you know, from there on in, and Raleigh already had a game plan to go get Tank. That was his game plan. So Tank just reinforced that. And that's what I'm trying to explain to you guys about fighters who get emotional about shit. You know, Duran was able to do that to Sugar Ray Leonard. He was able to get under his skin so Leonard would come get him. See, Floyd did it to Oscar De La Hoya, so Oscar would come get him. You understand? And once, let me tell you how a fight is lost. Some fights are lost before the bell even rung. I'm telling you, Raleigh lost the Tank, and I put it up on social media. Raleigh lost the Tank from the moment Tank pushed him off the stage. It was over. That fight was done. We already knew Raleigh was going to lose that fight. Okay? Oscar lost to Floyd the moment when Floyd clunged him, and Oscar just went, that's what Oscar did. We knew it was over, right? Leonard lost to Duran when he decided, when Duran said what he said about his wife, Leonard lost his shit. And Leonard was like, I know his mind already programmed. He said, I ain't sticking that moving. I'm going to beat this little punk's ass. Because he thought Duran was smaller than him. You know what I mean? And he went flat-footed for toe-to-toe. You got to understand, this is the game. It's up here. Okay? You can't let nobody mess with the game plan. You can't let people take you off your game. The moment, and that was a weakness. A weakness in Leonard's game, a weakness in Raleigh's game, a weakness in Oscar's game. Because now they want to go get you. They done already was preparing for that. But now they want to go get you. And I mean, you play into a counterpuncher's hands like that. Forget it. You're going to lose the fight. Because you just played into their hands. You just played into their hands. It's a counterpuncher. That's what they do. Okay? And so, a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people think it's all about abilities and skill. No, Ninja. Kambosos is not as skilled as Teofimo Lopez. He's not. It's not as skilled as Teofimo Lopez. I'm tell you that hands down. Teo pumped that jab. He'd have beaten Kambosos. He'd have knocked him out. Okay? It's not about the most skilled. It's not about how much power you got. It's not about, you know, how well you can box and how many flurries you can throw and how active you are and how quick you are. All of that shit goes out the window when a guy is able to do this to you. Mike Tyson said it, and it's true. The smartest guy in there is going to win. The smartest guy is not the most skilled guy. The smartest guy is not necessarily the guy that everyone considers the smartest. It's the smartest guy in there on the night. On the night Okay? That's what a lot of people don't understand. This is not checkers, it's chess. You know who's a guy like that? He one of the most skilled guy in the world. Shit. I forgot his name for some reason. I'm forgetting his name. But he's the guy that beat Chris Eubank Jr. twice. Twice. He beat him. Not more skilled than Chris Eubank Jr. Not at all. Not at all. If you guys know the guy's name, white guy. I think he's Irish. Put him in the comment section. Got in Chris Eubank Jr.'s, Chris Eubank Sr., sorry. Chris Eubank Sr.'s head. He won that fight before they even threw a punch. He won that fight. Okay? Before he threw a punch, he won that fight. Alright? Boxing is 90% mental, 10% physical. 90% mental, 10% physical. Okay? So, that's what Kambosos is trying to do. That's what Devin Haney and Kambosos, they just talking. Devin Haney just being himself. And so, every now and then, you try to get a little edge. You try to, mentally get into a guy's head or whatever. See what you can do to make them, change their game plan, whatever game plan it is that they have. You don't know what their game plan is necessarily, but you want to make sure that they don't do what they usually do to you. Right? But sometimes it make no sense trash talking, because sometimes trash talking don't help the situation at all. You're just wasting energy. So you have to know when to just zip it. Don't even bother to talk about nothing. And you just get ready for the fight, because Cotto fought his ass off. You know what I mean? Cotto fought his ass off. Like Floyd should have just shut up and just had the fight, just like how he had with Pacquiao. He didn't trash talk Pacquiao. He didn't say nothing about Pacquiao. He just got ready for the fight and he did what he had to do. You know what I mean? And that was because, well, there's two reasons why people sometimes trash talk. Rolly Romero made that fight. I'm going to say, Raleigh's the guy that made that fight as big a fight as it is. Raleigh talked up a storm. Conor McGregor made the Mayweather versus McGregor so big as it is, because Floyd didn't have to promote the fight as much as he usually did against an opponent who ain't saying nothing. To get big fights, you got to say something. And mind you, what you're saying is not bullshit. It's not lies. You're telling the truth. But you gotta sell the fight. You gotta be a little bit more outspoken, which means you gotta be able to promote the fight. So you look at guys like Muhammad Ali had huge fights because Ali used to keep talking. He may degrade his opponent, or he may say some flaws about his opponent, or he may say something about himself. You know what I'm saying? But it's just to keep the momentum of the fight. Canelo versus Caleb Plant did better numbers than Canelo versus Bivol. You know why? Bivol was very respectful of Canelo. Very, very respectful of Canelo. He never once, there was nothing happened that made you feel like, oh man, this is on. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Caleb Plant, he wasn't taking shit for nothing. Caleb Plant, Canelo pushed him on the stage because he called him a mother so and so, and Canelo pushed him on the stage. Caleb Plant came back and untelegraphed Lee left. That smacked Canelo. You know what I'm saying? Then he came back with a body shot. And Canelo hit him a 1-2 piece. You know what I'm saying? On the stage. Now let me tell you that just promotion just went up in the air with that. Right? 800,000 pay-per-view buys. Almost 1 million pay-per-view buys. Caleb Plant versus Canelo. All right, and the whole point, Ozymandias, what's up, bro? And the whole point behind it, what I'm saying is that, Caleb Plant versus Canelo did better than Bivol versus Canelo, because Bivol was just way too respectful. He believed in his skills and everything, but it was way too respectful. That's why the pay-per-view was what, they say it's 600K. Leonard LB was saying it's 300K. I really don't care. It was less than 800K. Okay? It was less than 800. And then Of course, Bevo's a hell of a fighter, but people didn't know Bevo as much as they knew Caleb Plant. Because Caleb Plant be on network television, so Fox Television. So you seeing Caleb Plant all the time. You see him on normal TV. Then you see him on Showtime. So Caleb Plant. Actually, people have seen him. They recognize him. So it was even more, interesting. Not just in the boxing world, but a little bit beyond the boxing world. Now Caleb Plant is known everywhere, right? A lot more than he was before. So kudos to him, and he got a hell of a paycheck too. So Dimitri Bivos, fantastic fighter and everything. I don't know if he got paid yet. I hope he got paid. But like I said before, you want to promote a fight, you gotta talk. You gotta agitate. You gotta not necessarily agitate, but you have to be outspoken. You don't even have to be outspoken in the way of negatively outspoken, but you gotta open your mouth and say something. And K9 Bunchers, shout out to K9 Bunchers. He said the same thing. You have to open your mouth. You have to speak. You can't just be a great fighter. You have to be a good speaker as well. You have to be able to get people in some way their passion towards you, whether it's liking you or hating you, whatever. You open your mouth and you say something. So what Kambosos is actually doing is he's talking and he's trying to he's trying to pull on people's heartstrings concerning himself and his journey and his difficulty of his journey. And then he's saying, this dude, he never gone through what I gone through. That's what basically he's saying. He's saying this dude had everything handed to him. You know what I mean? He never had to go through the dirt and the mire and the stuff that I had to go through. So that's basically Kambosos' statement. And he keeps on emphasizing that over and over and over again, that he's been through the trenches, So you got to understand where Kambosos is coming from and what he's trying to say. And then Devin Haney now, he counters with, Devin Haney more the cooler type, but he still kind of tries to antagonize Kambosos. He would say, hey, yo, you an actor or something? You rehearsing this? Because Kambosos is really speaking from his heart. It might be rehearsed, but he's speaking from his heart. And Devin Haney is trying to minimize that. He's trying to suck that out of Kambosos. He's trying to take it away from him. Take the play away from him. Because Kambosos, he can play on people's heartstrings that way. You know what I'm saying? But I like it. I like what Kambosos said. I like what Devin Haney, how cool Devin Haney's demeanor is because he's so well prepared. And I just think that I like both guys. I really do. Those are two guys I really like. And who knows? Kambosos might prove me wrong. He might prove me wrong, and he might make the fight close, and he might get the decision. You know what I'm saying? You never know. I mean, you never know. It's boxing. You never know. But I wouldn't be mad if Kambosos won. I wouldn't be mad if Devin Haney won. Once it's not a robbery. The one thing about boxing, I believe, is that Jeff Horn beat Manny Pacquiao. So that bullshit about robbery, I don't believe it. Okay? Jeff Horn made that fight ugly. He made it close, and that's why he got the decision. Okay? Manny Pacquiao did great in round 9, but that's the only round I gave Manny Pacquiao. I don't know about y'all, but I'm telling the truth. Okay? If Kambosos could do something like that with Devin Haney, then he deserves the win. He deserves the win. Okay? So I'm not. You got to understand. I'm not. I'm not one of those guys who, is hating Kambosos for what he's doing. I know he had to do it. You got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do. He's in his home country. His countrymen supposed to root for him. As far as he's concerned, and he's right. Why not? I mean, if somebody came to my country, a great fighter came to my country who is from my country, and I knew he was a great fighter, he accomplished great things, I would root for him too. I'm not going to root for the other guy. Why? Even if I like the other guy, and I know the other guy more than likely will win, I'll root for my countrymen, right? So I don't see anything wrong with that. Okay? But as to say that's going to make a difference in the outcome of the fight, no. Because when these guys zone in and when they're tuned in to what they're doing, the crowd gets, even if they hear the crowd and they're aware of the crowd, they're focused on what they got to do. That's the way how it is. And it's not like Devin Haney's a stranger to this. This is what Kambosos don't understand. Devin Haney went down into Mexico, fought guys. The Mexican crowd was against him, and he still won. So he's had this experience before. He's been prepared for this on a lower scale, but still he's been prepared for this. Kambosos went overseas. So Devin Haney going overseas and doing this, I think is good. And I think Devin Haney should do some more tours as well. I was talking about a great fighter. Some people don't think of him great, but I'm going to talk about him. Victor Galindez. Victor Galindez was an Argentinian boxer. He won the light heavyweight world title in Argentina. But then every single fight that was a world title fight, he had 10 successful defenses. Was always in a country that was not Argentina. And that's impressive because Carlos Monzon, he kind of fought in Madison Square Gardens in Argentina. This dude fought in South Africa. He fought in Italy. He fought wherever your backyard was, he was coming. He went to Louisiana. Okay, he lost his title, got knocked out in Louisiana, rematched the guy in Louisiana, knocked his ass out. You know what I'm saying? Victor Galindez, check him out, Argentinian boxer. When you are, as Bill Haney said, when you are a world champion, you are not a champion of America. You're not a champion of Australia. You are a champion of the world. Which means you should be able to go and face any opponent from anywhere in the world, as well as what Devin Haney's doing. Which is even further. He's gone out of his own backyard into his opponent's backyard. But his opponent's backyard might become his backyard. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Because he's getting love in Australia. The people in Australia, they love him and they're treating him well. So that's good. Because sometimes you go into hostile territory and people are just hostile to you. Period. You know what I'm saying? Not the case with Devin Haney. And Devin Haney's that kind of person anyway. He's a people kind of person, and he gets along with people, generally speaking. Now, that don't mean that they're going to root for him. Just because they're nice to him, and they like to be around him, and they like, he was training some of the kids in the lower income areas of Australia and stuff, and trying to motivate, the youths in there. That don't mean they will root for him. They may root for Kambosos, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you're a fan. And if you're a fan of Kambosos, I'm a fan of both of them. I don't care if Haney loses or Kambosos loses. I'm not losing my love for them. I'm not losing. It's just like with Sean Porter. When Sean Porter lost to Kell Brook, I was still a Sean Porter fan. When he was doing he had his channel, Sean Porter channel. Kenny Porter used to comment on different things I say. I was still a fan of Sean Porter. I'm still to this day a fan of Sean Porter. A lot of people now are massed around Sean Porter and they really are fans of him and stuff. I was a fan from day one when I saw this guy. I said, God damn, I like this guy. And he's a likable guy. And I just think that even though Kell Brook comprehensively beat him. But Sean Porter kind of beat himself. He was a lot more wild than he is today. But the point is, I always said Sean Porter was one of the top 5 welterweights in the welterweight division. And he retired, Terrence Crawford knocked him out, but he retired at the top of the welterweight division. Just as I always said. I said he was one of the 4 kings of the welterweight division. Initially, I said it was Kell Brook, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, and Timothy Bradley. Timothy Bradley retired. Then Kell Brook went up to face Triple G and he lost. Errol Spence replaced Kell Brook. And Manny Pacquiao came back into the mix. And Manny Pacquiao became one of the top 4. But all along that way, Sean Porter was still in the top 4 all the time. He was somewhere in there. And my point being anyway, that I'm a fan of boxers whether they win or lose. If I like you as a boxer and I like your style as a boxer, on what you do outside of the ring, I'm not really concerned with. I'm concerned with how you fight and what you do, because I can learn things from you. I can learn things from you. I can learn how you conduct yourself. I can't say that Sean Porter is a guy that don't conduct himself well outside of the ring, even. And even his commentary on things, I don't always agree with everything he says, but his commentary on stuff, I like it too. I love Paulie Malignaggi. I love Paulie Malignaggi's commentary on things. I don't really get caught up in his political views on things because when we're talking boxing, that's all I care about. It's the boxing part of it. And Paulie's A1 when it comes to it. Yeah, every now and then, depending on the telecast he's on, he's a bit biased. And sometimes I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And he has a bias. He said it. He said he has a bias for Eastern European fighters and European fighters. So I got you, Paulie. But you beat Shevchenko's ass, though. You beat his ass. All that European fighter, you beat his ass. But, again, I like Paulie Malignaggi. I do. I like him. In terms of boxing, this guy got a great boxing mind. And I like him. You know. So, as much as people say what they can say what they want about Paulie Malignaggi. Oh, he pillow fisted, blah 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 blah. Let me tell you something. When it comes to the jab, Paulie had one of those terrific jabs. And you know what won him most of his fights in his career? Because his hands was fucked up? The jab. So, I have respect for that man. And I'll always have. And he beat Zab Judah. I can't even believe this. It was the King of Brooklyn, I think it was called. And he beat Zab Judah. And after that, I had respect for him. Because I realized this dude be time and time again showing us that he's unbelievable. He gets wins. He should have beaten Adrian Broner. We all know this. But he got wins where, where it was almost, the odds were against him. He didn't have no power. You fighting power punches. Adrian Broner's a power puncher. And he punched like a mule. Adrian Broner punches very hard. Okay? Fractured Marcus Maidana's jaw. Okay? Yeah, Mark Down returned the favor, but the point is, he did. He punched like a mule, all right? He got good defense. Got great defense, actually. Adrian Broner has great defense. Nobody's ever stopped Adrian Broner, right? But my point anyway is this, that, when you look at Paulie Malignaggi, I have love for fighters, so it don't matter. If I'm rocking with a fighter, it don't matter that he lost. He might lose 4 or 5 fights straight because he's in a slump or whatever. I'm there with you, homie. I'm there with you. You know what I'm saying? Because I understand what it takes to some degree to be in that position, to be continuously fighting and plodding on and trying your best to do what you can do. You know what I mean? And to be at the top level or to stay at the top level is not easy. It's not easy. And that's what a lot of people, I have a lot of respect for Canelo. Of course, Canelo's a bad man, if y'all don't know. Okay? Like I said, there's only 2 fighters I know right now in and around his weight class that I can say for a fact I think will beat him currently in his current state, or based on his current last performances. I know Canelo's already in the lab working on shit. I know that. He's already, the cogwheel's already spinning. He's already doing his homework. He's already, doing the things you're supposed to have done. Some of that shit you should have done 8 years ago. I know you're working on some of it, but you need to work on it even more. So, I know he's in the lab doing his shit. Don't get it twisted. Alright? And Canelo's a guy, I don't think there's any, those extremely competitive guys who they live for the win, he's not taking that loss lightly at all. That's going to be a tremendous learning experience. And the next time you see Canelo, he's going to be on point, I believe. He gonna make sure he gets the necessary things put in place. But you can't, I'm always going to say this, you can't cut corners in boxing. So you get away with precise footwork, you get away with inching in, you get away with all that shit because you don't want to move your feet rapidly for 12 rounds. At some point, you're going to face a fighter who's going to put you through those paces. Okay? And you might do okay, but not enough to win. And you want to win. So Canelo knows he's got to work on his feet, his foot conditioning. He knows this now. And he knows he needs a veteran trainer, a senior veteran trainer, to get him more in tune with the slick style of boxing. And what the nice thing about it is, though, after that Bivol fight, we had several fights where demonstrating the counterpuncher being able to move on his feet and set up his opponent and get knockouts. So Canelo could see that. You know, um, I always think of Canelo versus Carlos Baldomir, where Canelo was actually on the back foot in that fight, letting Carlos Baldomir come into him and then counterpunching him. Again, he wasn't moving excessively because Carlos Baldomir don't move excessively either. But that is what Canelo needs because Tank demonstrated it. Jamel Charlo demonstrated it. You know, that's what you need. And quite frankly, Bivol did that to Canelo. You know, Bivol did that to Canelo because Bivol was fighting off mostly off the back foot, even though he was pushing Canelo back. When he counterpunched him and hurt him, he would then push him back. But that's what you got to do, Canelo. You have to. Deontay Wilder need to learn this too. You got to be working on that back foot boxing. You got to. You have to. It's a tool in boxing. They can say whatever they want. Running, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I don't care. You got to have all-round game. And the only way that's going to happen is if you can fight off the back foot. And I mean at a high pace and relentlessly off the back foot. You know? And that's something that's what he has to work on. And once he works on that, he should be fine. But my point anyway is I rock with Canelo. I mess with Canelo. I'm a Canelo fan. I may be critical of Canelo, but it's only because I'm saying certain things, so hopefully he come back bigger and better. You know what I mean? When you're just winning, and you have a flaw, you can't know that until, or something you haven't worked on enough. You can't know that until somebody give you a tough fight. And I thought the warning signs were there with Caleb Plant fight. I thought the warning signs were there since the Erislandy Lara fight. You should have, I mean, the Mayweather fight. You should have been able to realize Mayweather was able to hang with you because of his feet. His feet. He's getting in position way before you are. You know, even though he's standing in front of you or seemingly standing in front of you, you should have known this. So he's getting to counterpunch you all the time. He's setting you up. Why? Because he's the one actually dictating the pace. Because he's the one actually dictating the range. Because he's the one actually setting you up to counterpunch you. And the only way you could, I'm not saying it's the only way, but one of the ways to set up a guy so you can counter them, and we saw it now explicitly in two fights, the Jamel Charlo fight and the Tank fight, okay, is through fighting off the back foot, okay? And not only that, but notice that these guys are picking the guys apart as well. You're picking them apart, okay, going to the body, weakening them, you know, baiting them in with shots to the body, some hard shots, so the guys want to get them back. They always want to get you back. In boxing, if I'm constantly hitting you, you are not going to stay disciplined like that. You're going to want to hit me back. You're going to try and get me back. It's just what it is, right? So at some point, you're going to sell out and you're going to try and hit me. And that's when you get hit. That's just the way it goes. And that's why counterpunching is one of the things you must have in your arsenal when you're fighting. Alright, so anyway, I'm just going to say, Kambosos is a good dude. And I'm glad that he gave Devin Haney the opportunity. He talking a little crazy, but that's alright. That's part of the game. And may the best man win come Saturday. Y'all already know my pick, so I'm not going to go into that. So, you know, all this so-called hate for Kambosos because he called Devin Haney a rat. Come on, man. Y'all in your feelings, man. I hope Kambosos lose because I saw a guy in one of the groups say, I hope Kambosos lose because, you know, he called Devin Haney a rat. That's it. So that's why you in your feelings. So that's what changes the fight. So if Kambosos had the tools that were superior to Devin Haney, you think he'd lose the fight just because he said that? Come on, man. Come on, man. You know, that's not how boxing works. Okay, this is not a TV show. This is not Rocky. All right, man. I'm going to catch you guys later. Peace.